Good day to you all. In my last video on economics, we discussed really what economics was and why that is important to study. I gave a brief overview of scarcity and why scarcity is important to us as human beings. In today's topic, I'm going to cover briefly a few things, the idea of trade, and then I'm going to go into a very basic sort of description of what an economic system is and how it allocates resources. In later videos, I will go into more detail describing each individual system that I have chosen in a great detail with charts and graphs and graphic organizers as such. But basically, to introduce you, trade means that I have something, or I have an excess of something, and someone else has an excess of something, and I want their something, and they want my something. Okay. Let me give a graphic example here. In the last lecture, I described my want of pens. That was just an example. But basically, let's say I have these scissors. Okay, I have an excess of scissors. I have 5 pairs of scissors. I don't really need that many scissors. Someone else doesn't have any scissors. But what they have is an ink cartridge. Okay? And I need an ink cartridge for my printer. So I exchange these scissors for that ink cartridge. That's the basic of trade. Okay? No one forced us to do this. No one said, well, hey, you should trade these items because it's good for society or anything. It's good for me, and it was good for him or her or whoever I'm trading with. So basically, we have a benefit from that trade. We both benefit. I get the ink cartridge I want or need, and he or she gets the scissors. Okay? So we all leave mildly satisfied, at least for the time being, with our trade. No one stole anything. No one taxed us and gave it to anybody. No one told us to do this. We just did it out of our natural inclination to get what we want or need. So that's really the basics of free market economics. And there's more detailed examples that I could go into, but basically for this course, I think that really all we need to do is use that basic example. Moreover, going into economic systems, that is the basis of what we would call a free market system or capitalistic system. I had ownership of said scissors, and he or she had ownership of that ink cartridge, and we traded it. Of course, scissors and ink cartridges are complex items which require a lot of people to build, and you can go to Milton Friedman's pencil example if you want a more detailed look at what really goes into even seemingly simple items. Voluntary interactions, everyday interactions, millions upon millions of interactions to make the most simple item for our modern lives. But I digress. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the basis of trade is that we interact with one another on a footing which allows us to discuss and negotiate and trade what we want, trade for what we want with something we don't want as much. So you trade value for value. You trade something of a lesser value to you, okay, for something of a greater value, and vice versa. And see, it works both ways. It has to work both ways, or it's not a valid trade. This will be important. This example will be important when we go into discussing socialism and communist economics and democratic socialism and all of those systems. I may not describe all of them in great detail, but I will go into comparing the basic idea of socialism with the basic idea of a capitalistic economy. So, essentially, we've described what trade is. So, next step. Many economists have said that there are two basic ways, and we can really use our thoughts to get us to this point. There are two basic ways of gaining what we want or what we need. That is, one, through trade, through cooperation. And work is a kind of trade. We may not think of it as the same. It's not the same sort of trade as I had described originally, but it is still a trade. I trade hours of my day. I trade my effort for tokens, money as such, that I can really use to buy what I want or need. I can use it to buy food. I can use it to buy this computer chair. I can use it to buy this computer. So that essentially is the basis of economics, trade. So you can gain things by trade. But what's another way you can gain things? You can gain things by theft. Okay? You can gain things by taking them, taking what you want. Let's say I have these scissors. I don't want to give them up. I have whatever amount, and I don't want to give them up. But I want those ink cartridges. So I take some blunt object and use it sorry I had some technical difficulties there for a moment. So basically, I take some blunt object and I use it to strike this person, and I take what I want. I take what I need from him or her. That's theft. Okay. And we'll go into that. We'll dive into that deeper when we're talking about government regulation and really what constitutes socialism and what constitutes capitalism, and what constitutes a mix between those two, and whether or not there can be any middle ground between those two. There may be, but we shall explore that at a later time. So, in our next episode, I am going to go deeper into demand, supply, and give a basic overview of some later descriptions that I'm going to give about economic systems and really how they affect our daily lives, which they do. Thank you very much for watching, and good day to you.